Hi everyone, it's Mr. Nick again. I'm coming to you live from the Siegel Jewish Community Center, Early Childhood Center. We actually went on a little bit of a field trip in our building today. We are not coming to you live from the library. We are coming to you live from a classroom. Can anybody guess which room I might be in? I'll give you a hint. It is a toddler teacher, and the person who's filming this' child might be in this classroom. And that's Anna Saul behind the camera. So we're coming to you live from Miss Danielle's classroom. Take a look around. It's so colorful and fun in here. Ignore the ladder, she was doing some work in here.
Hi, Shiloh's dinosaur.
Here, zoom in on there. Look at those animals. Those are animals from one of my favorite authors, Eric Carle. I would be reading an Eric Carle book today, but I didn't know I was going to be here. So instead, I have another book about animals, okay? This book is called Wild About Books, and it was written by Judy Sierra, and the illustrations are by Mark Brown. And I'm going to tell you why I'm reading a book all about animals. Now, this has a little secret dedication in here. When I was at my old school, I got a visit from the U.S. Secretary of Education, the Delaware Secretary of Education, the governor at the time, which was Jack Markell, and the senator was John Harper at the time. So they all signed my book. They all came in and read it. It was crazy. There was a lot of hoopla. But it was a super fun experience, and they read this book, coincidentally, while I was going to the zoo that day. So, Wild About Books. It started in the summer of 2002 when the Springfield librarian, Molly McGrew, by mistake drove her bookmobile into the zoo. Molly opened the door and she let down the stairs, turned on the computer, and sat in her chair. At first, all of the animals watched from a distance, but Molly could conquer the strongest resistance. I'm seeing a giraffe here. It's one of my favorite zoo animals here. I like to call them Raffies, because I have an old preschool friend who had a stuffed giraffe named Raffy. And flamingos are super cool because who doesn't love a pink animal? By reading aloud from the good Dr. Seuss, she quickly attracted a mink and a moose, a wombat, an aurochs, a lemur, a lynx, 8 elephant calves, and a family of skinks. There are several animals in there that I don't think I ever heard of before this book. Like an aurochs. Does anybody know what an aurochs is? Oh my gosh. In a flash, every beast in the zoo was stampeding. That's a fancy word for running all together. To learn all about this new something called reading. Forsaking their niches, their nests and their nooks, they went wild, simply wild about wonderful books, choosing thin books and fat books, and Cat in the Hat books, and new books and true books, and heaps of how-to books. Like how to survive being quarantined for 14 days. I don't think that one's out yet. Stay tuned. Giraffes, Raffies, wanted tall books, and the crickets craved small books, while the geckos can only read stick-to-the-wall books. The pandas demanded more books in Chinese, because they come from China. Molly filled their requests, always eager to please. She even found waterproof books for the otters, who never went swimming without Harry Potter. It's another one of my favorite books.
Love that shout out.
Raccoons read alone, and baboons read in bunches, and llamas read dramas while eating their yunches. And I said yunches because there are 2 L's there. Mm-hmm. Like a llama or a llama, I don't know. I got nothing. Lunches. I hope everybody's eating their lunch, by the way. Hyenas shared jokes with the red-bellied snakes, and they howled and hissed till their funny bones ached. A tree kangaroo, who adored Nancy Drew, began solving mysteries right there in the zoo, such as, why were the bandicoots books overdue? Gently, Molly taught lessons in treating books right, for the boa constrictors squeezed Critter too tight. Baby bunnies mucked up Goodnight Moon with their paws, and giant termites devoured the Wizard of Oz. And Bear's love of books was completely outrageous. They licked all of the pictures right off of the pages. Kind of dissuading the licking of books at this point in time. Tasmanian devils found books so exciting that soon they had given up fighting or writing. They made up adventures so thrilling and new that the others decided to be authors too. Pythons wrote with their tails, penguins wrote with their bills, and porcupines wrote with their very own quills. Porcupines, the spiky part of the porcupine, it's called a quill. And a quill is a fancy writing tool. At the new insect zoo, bugs were scribbling haikus. It's a fancy kind of a poem. It's only 3 lines long. The scorpion gave each a stinging review. Look, the walking stick wrote, a cannibal twig silently devours a leaf, eating, not eaten. And the scorpion said, pretentious. And the dung beetle, roll a ball of dung, any kind of poo will do. Baby beetle dead. Scorpion said, stinks. Get it? Poo, dung beetle. The millipede wrote, I dig for treasure in my enchanted castle. A rotten apple. The scorpion said, boring. And the hissing cockroach, hiss, 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 hiss. Hiss, 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 hiss. Hiss, 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 hiss. Redundant. That's a fancy word for too much of the same thing. And scorpion's hard to impress. As the cheetah's new novel began to take shape, he read chapters each night to the Barbary ape. And although the gazelle couldn't spell very well, like everyone else, she had stories to tell. Imagine the hippo's enormous surprise when her memoir was given the Zulitzer Prize. I think that's a fancy name for a book prize that only a zoo animal could get? Oh. With so many new books, Molly knew what to do. She hired 12 beavers, a stork, and a gnu to build a branch library right there at the zoo. And then the animals cried, we could do it ourselves. We could check the books out. We could put them on shelves. And they did. And they do up to this very day. 3 cheers for the Zoobrary. Hip, hip, hooray. So when you visit the zoo now, you surely won't mind if the animals seem just a bit hard to find. They're snug in their niches, their nests and their nooks, going wild, simply wild, about wonderful books. And this book, the authors dedicated this book. They said, this book is for our favorite doctor, artist, poet, and fun concoctor Theodore Seuss Giselle. That's cool. So the reason why I read this book, Wild About Books, was because if you guys, when we're done reading this story here and you need something else to do today, if you go on Facebook and you look up the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden, they are doing virtual safari tours of all of their animals. And you can also check out, I think it was Zoe, the 2-year-old hippo. She's really kind of cute. I think her name is Zoe. If not, let me know later. So with that said, I'm going to say goodbye because I need to eat my lunch too. And you need to take a nap. And I think so do I. But if you come back here at 4 o'clock on this very Facebook page and you click on the link again, I think Miss Danielle might be in her very own room doing an activity. Don't tell her I was here.